Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. Hoping that the audio issues have been worked out, so please let us know in the chat so that we get an idea if you can understand us or not, because I don't know what you heard earlier. But welcome, Brandie. Hope everything is going okay for you. We first bad week in a while for the channel. 4 and 6 last week, 2 and 3 for each of us. Also, somebody let us know real quick in the chat if the audio is okay. I'll let you go first, Randy. We'll talk about our week we had. Start with your winners, start with your losers, wherever you like.
Yeah, I'll start with my losers. Texas Tech -6.5 was a horrible bet. Arizona State +5.5. That probably was a pretty bad bet here. I'm not like extremely mad about it. Scadaboo just couldn't get it done all on his own, basically. But Jeff didn't play like horribly. Their team just looks a little bit different without Sam Leavitt. So those two kind of sucked. Okay, that's kind of good for sound wise. So it seems like it's better.
Another review said we sound a little echoey, but as long as y'all can hear us, we're gonna power through it. And appreciate whoever's watching right now. Thank you guys. So go on.
And then my other loss was South Florida. They ended up winning by 10. I had -13.5. They really just let UAB hang in there kind of the whole game and didn't start really taking off until the fourth quarter. Still, kind of probably would play that line again, though. Other two would not. I hand up those are just two bad bets. And my winner, Colorado +3.5. They ended up winning outright. They looked really good this weekend. And then Army -15.5. They continue to be a wagon against the spread and are in the top 25 and potentially going to make the playoffs if they keep it going. So, yeah, that was a recap of last week. My lean last week was I don't remember the lean I gave out.
Hold on.
Shoot.
Dang it. I know Auburn wasn't your official lean. You did talk about Auburn a little bit.
I did talk about that. I did say I think Auburn would cover, and I don't bet on my own team. And they did cover. They should have won outright. They did cover, though. I don't know if it was Indiana -6.5 or if it was because there was a couple of different plays. Maryland +7.5, maybe. I can't remember what my lean was. Oh, no, I know what it was. It was Florida +1.5, and they won outright against Kentucky at home. That's what it was.
By a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
The leans continue to cash on this channel. Whatever leans we end up with, I think our leans have a pretty dang strong hit rate so far. But yeah, 2 and 3 for Brandie. She went into the week 14 and 10. That drops her to 16 and 13 overall. I went 2 and 3 as well, which puts me at 17 and 13 overall. And so for my 5 plays, I had a winner with UCLA at Rutgers +5. UCLA wins outright in that one. West Virginia +3. That's my Texas Tech pick of the week. They got ran out of the building by Coach Kleinman's Wildcats. I woke up on Sunday thinking that this game had cashed, to be honest, because I just naturally assumed points were going to continue to be scored. But Colorado Arizona over 58 was a loser. There's a lot of points in the first half. I thought it was going to continue to roll. I did not see a Reagan. You might be cooked here. Interesting pickup line. It's pretty dry. I got to post the pickup line. Are you wearing your Halloween costume, or are you really just the prettiest girl I've ever seen? That's not that bad, I mean, I don't know, man. She might not have the sense of humor for you, Reagan, but not sure. Texas A&M -15. Aggies led by double digits in the I guess, to get there. But Michael Van Buren playing pretty well for Mississippi State. They continue to be a cover wagon against top 15 teams. And then my last play, Illinois plus 3.5, winning outright, dominating Michigan in that game. So 2-3 for me.
Dominated.
We are 33 and 26 overall. Time for a bounce back week. And with that being said, Brandie, what's your first play on the card?
Yes. My first play this week, there's a lot of interesting lines. I'm actually going to go with a Thursday night game. We have Syracuse at Pitt on the road. So I'm taking Syracuse plus 6.5. I think this is going to be a really fun game. Syracuse is 6-1, Pitt is 7-0. This is going to be just an absolute shootout between Kyle McCord and Eli Holstein. I'm really excited just to kind of see how both of these offenses continue to work. The reason why I like Syracuse and an underdog in this spot is because, one, I think Kyle McCord's a better quarterback than Eli Holstein. And Pitt, to me, is like a little bit fraudulent. They had 2 wins where they had double-digit come-from-behind wins. That was against Cincy. They came back in I think it was like the fourth quarter or the third quarter. It was very beginning of the season. They were like down 20, 21, something like that, came back and won outright. And then they also came back against West Virginia when they were down by 10 to win outright in that game too. So, I think that Pitt's offensive line just hasn't really been that impressive this season in protecting Eli. I also think Pitt could be in a little bit of a look-ahead spot because they play SMU next week, and SMU is a really good team this year. And so I think, I just really like this spot. I like that Syracuse is an underdog. Syracuse has a good wide receiver core. And I think Pitt's due for some variance because they've gotten lucky. Eli Holstein should have more turnovers than what his stat line reads. So I'm rolling with the Qs. Big Orange.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him win outright whatsoever. I agree with you on Pitt. I think they're slightly fraudulent. The Cincinnati game, the West Virginia games, easily both those games could have gone against them. I like it. I'm definitely telling Syracuse plus 6 for Brandie to start. I myself am rolling with an underdog around the 6-point mark as well. I have Mississippi State in the 6.5. Actually, wait, nope, that's Saturday. I do have a Friday night play, just so got to go in order here. I do have USC and the 13 points that they are giving up against Rutgers. Rutgers has been really bad on defense of late. We talked last week about taking UCLA in that spot. I assumed UCLA was going to be able to run the ball a little bit better than they have. They didn't really have to because Barber's threw for like 383 and 4 touchdowns. USC has a bit better weapons than UCLA. Long road trip for Rutgers. I think this is a get-right spot for USC, who's been really, really struggling of late. Blew a big game last week. Not a big game. Blew a big lead last week with Maryland. But Rutgers doesn't have the firepower Maryland does. Rutgers has Kyle Guy, and if they get down in this game and have to throw the ball, they don't have the same type of ability to rally, I believe, like Maryland does. Not that Maryland's looked great. That's a bad loss for USC last week. USC struggled to run the ball, but with Rutgers, I think they'll have some success. But I just don't see Rutgers covering up these wide receivers. Not well enough to stay inside the 13. So, any thoughts, Brandie? Is that too many points for a somewhat seemingly bad USC team?
No, and Rutgers is having to travel all the way across the country for this game too. This feels like the perfect get-right spot for USC, and they're pissed off because their season just hasn't gone the way that they expected. And I think their record is a little bit worse than what this team looks like, but I still am a believer in this USC offense, maybe not necessarily their defense, but Rutgers doesn't really have that, electric of an offense anyway. So I like the matchup here from just like a pure USC's offense being much better than Rutgers defense. So I like it. I think USC is they are due for this. Like they're due for a big win. And I think that they get that. So I like it a lot.
Well, let's go Trojans. What do you have for your second play, Brandie?
All right, my second play, and don't kill me, Texas fans. I'm rolling with Vanderbilt first half plus 10.5. So one, I don't know if Quinn Ewers is 100% healthy. Maybe Ghost, you have a different viewpoint here on this, but I think after during watching last week's game, you don't pull your starting quarterback who is tenured. He's an upperclassman. He's gone on the road and beaten Bama in his career. He's gotten a road win against Michigan in his career. Has been a playoff starter and done well. Like you don't just pull him just to pull him and throw an underclassman in there. I genuinely think that he's not 100% healthy. I don't think that he was when he played against Oklahoma either. He did look a little bit slower than normal. And I think that could possibly still be the case heading into this Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt also is one of the best tempo teams in college football. They know how to control the clock and keep the ball in their possession. Not sure if we'll get the Vanderbilt that beat Kentucky on the road and beat Alabama at home, or if we're going to get the one that lost to Georgia State and had a close game last week against Ball State. But I do think that the slow starts that Texas have had in the first half and the fact that Vanderbilt is good at controlling the clock and there's a lot of buzz and hype around this program right now. They're ranked in the top 25. I just really like this first half cover for Vanderbilt. I think Texas wins and they're going to win by a lot in the second half, but I just don't know, one, what's going on at quarterback with Texas right now with Quinn. Like, is he 100% healthy or not? And two, I think that is Andrew McCullough out for Texas?
He's just listed as doubtful this afternoon.
That's another thing too. So if he doesn't play, Eli Sowers is pretty good at tight end for Vanderbilt, and I know Andrew's mainly the guy who covers tight ends for Texas. So if he's out too, I kind of like Sowers to have a little bit of a good game too. And Vanderbilt's defense isn't that great, but they do have a top 25 scoring offense. Still expecting Texas's defense to come out there and be strong, but I think it's going to be a low scoring game and pretty close in the first half. So.
That's terrifying to hear, Brandie. I don't think you've lost a first half bet on the channel. You've got to be at least 4-0, possibly 5-0. So yeah,
I think I'm 4-0 in first half plays this season.
And well done. I was on an OKC radio show earlier, and I went on a very long rant about loving Quinn Ewers, but not thinking that Quinn is healthy. If you look at the Texas offense, they're not really attacking downfield. Quinn has one of the bigger arms in all of college football. I love Quinn. He looks hurt to me. And if Quinn has not made a significant jump as far as health goes coming into this game, and they're not able to throw the ball downfield, even though Clark Lee loves to play a too high safety and just kind of keep everything in front of him, I think they'll get a little bit more aggressive with our screen game, our short game, and that's how Georgia stifled us. Also with a very good pass rush. I like your play because you don't lose first half bets. I cannot tell this one. It would hurt to be there and have Texas play really well in the first half, and then you and I both a little bit sad because we both lost. So I'm just gonna leave that one to you. You guys trust Brandie though. She's been very, very on top of her first half plays. Undefeated, 4-0. Good work.
Look, Texas is gonna go into halftime up 10-0. Okay.
That would be cool. I would. You tell me we go up by 10-0. I would take that. It means the defense has showed up. I would probably have some more concerns about the offense, but we'll take a lead. So much better than being down 23-0. So play number 2 for me. I mentioned Mississippi State earlier. That is my second play. Michael Van Buren has looked really, really good. Mississippi State seems to be fighting. They're not a good football team, but they definitely seem to be getting better. They covered easily against Texas, covered easily against Georgia, covered against Texas A&M. Those are 3 top 15 opponents in a row. And they're getting 6.5 with Arkansas coming to town. So I don't think Arkansas is very healthy on the offensive end or offensive side of the ball. I think Jaquindon Jackson is likely to miss this game. Taylor Green hasn't looked great of late. Give me Michael Van Buren. Give me the 6.5. Give me Mississippi State winning outright. I think they find that first win against an FBS opponent, obviously also an SEC opponent. Jeff Lebby, they got some dog in them. They're fighting. They're a bad team, but they're getting better. Van Buren's coming into his own a little bit. Obviously got thrust into the fire after the Shapen injury. I like Mississippi State in this spot. Kind of let down for Arkansas last week at home with LSU coming to town. Couldn't really muster up anything offensively. And then after this week, Arkansas gets Ole Miss at home. They get Texas at home. So kind of just a weird little trip to Starkville in the middle of a bunch of really cool home games for Fayetteville. But yeah, is that crazy? Would you? I know I'm going against your guy Travis Williams here, but I like the Bulldogs.
I'm gonna be tailing you in the Pick'em League with this one for sure. Mississippi State's done well against the spread this season, even though they're not a good football team. They hung in there against Georgia this year, covered that with ease, and I'm pretty positive they covered a really, really long spread when they played Texas too, and they covered last weekend against Texas A&M. So I like it. I don't really have much belief in this Mississippi State team, so but from like a covering standpoint, I think that they've done well. They need to win, and I don't know. I think Sam Pittman on the road is a little bit different than Sam Pittman at home. So I like it. I'll be tailing this in the Pick'em League, and I might sprinkle some on this too from a betting standpoint.
I like it. I think that I do. I think they cover for sure. I definitely have it as a them winning outright. We'll see though. All right, so we've given out 2 plays so far. Brandie has given out Syracuse +6 and Vanderbilt first half +10.5. I have given out Mississippi State +6.5 and USC -13. Brandie, what do you have as play number 3 on the sheet?
I'm staying in the SEC here, and maybe I can redeem myself with some of the Texas fans. But I'm going to LSU +2.5 on the road at Texas A&M this weekend. One of the better matchups that is on this weekend slate. Starting off with LSU's defense has improved from the very first week to this week. Last year, they got a lot of shit for their defense being bad. Still kind of we're getting that at the beginning of the year this year, but their pass defense has been better this year. Even their pass rush has been better. They're one of the 7th best pressure. They have one of the 7th best pressure rates in the country. And I also love the matchup between A&M's defensive line, which is really great, and LSU's offensive line, which is also really great. So I love just trench battles, and I think that's what we're going to see here. And I'm taking this because I think LSU wins outright, and I think that they win outright because of Garrett Nussmeier. I think he has just been so impressive in the past couple of weeks, and LSU has a real chance at making the playoffs this year because of him. He has been putting this team on his back almost every single week since that USC loss, and it's been impressive. And I think he's playing himself into getting drafted in the NFL right now. He has just done so well, and I mean, the Ole Miss team that they beat at home, that is not an easy defense to go up against. And he just absolutely was electric in that game. And so I think that we're going to see that again. I think this is definitely a coin flip game too. And I'm always going to take the underdog in a coin flip game. I also don't know what version of Connor Wigman that we're going to get because he's just been all over the place. There's his game against Missouri, and then you look at his game against Mississippi State this past weekend, and it just feels like 2 totally ends of the spectrum. And so I don't really know if this A&M offense has a true identity yet, and they've been getting a lot of hype. I think a lot of that has to do with how well their defense, especially that D-line is. But I'm going to go with the better quarterback in this battle. I think that Nuss's offensive line too just gives him the perfect opportunity to get the ball out. And yeah, I think LSU, I guess it's considered an upset. I think LSU is a better team, so I don't know if I would really consider an upset. But yeah, I think they go on the road. They went out right at A&M. LSU +2.5.
I like it. Obviously, we'll be rooting for LSU this weekend, even if we. Yeah, it's a really big spot for the Tigers, huge spot for the Aggies. A&M struggled at home in big games of late. They did win the Missouri game, but Missouri looks more of a paper tiger than what LSU does. And so I like it. Nussmeier's been really, really good, but more importantly, that LSU pass rush, that LSU run game seemed to have really figured some things out. They're blocking a lot better in pass protection. I kind of called out the offensive line a couple times on this channel earlier this year, and they've looked pretty dang good of late. So I like it a lot. It's hard to, like you said, it's a coin flip game. This game probably goes down, to the fourth quarter and probably to the wire. I think it'll be a really, really good one. I would definitely rather have a side on LSU than A&M in this one. If LSU can throw the ball on A&M just a little bit, which Nuss is pretty dang good, I think that LSU game that I'm going to tell plus it'll be fun to root that one in with you. So let's go. LSU plus 2.5, correct?
Yep.
LSU plus 2.5. All right. So Brandie's 3 of her 5 plays are locked in. This play feels dirty. It almost feels wrong. Almost so wrong that it's just talking to me a little bit. It feels right. Washington plus 6.5, showing up in Bloomington, Indiana, in a massive game for the Hoosiers. So much hype around this Indiana team right now, deservedly so. Coach Sig has the boys rolling. They look really good. He says all the right things. Curtis Rourke will be out for this game, so I believe it's Taven Jackson. Started 5 games last year for Indiana. The big thing for me, though, is Washington played so dang bad at Iowa the last time they played on the football field. Gave up 40-plus points, didn't do anything offensively, didn't protect Will Rogers. And so I think we'll see a big bounce back from a Belichick-led defense. I think they bounce back. They make things interesting for Indiana. It's just everybody kind of expecting Indiana to keep this run going, and I just don't. I think they might. I hope they win by a field goal, but I definitely would like to see Washington stay inside that number. We'll see if Will Rogers can do enough offensively. I don't think it'll be a real high-scoring game. Indiana's been scoring a ton, but I'm expecting a pretty big game out of the Washington defense. What do you think, Brandie? Can you slow down the Hoosier hype train?
I don't know. Part of me wants to take that in the Pick'em League because Curtis Rourke is out, but I just really love this Indiana wide receiver core and Washington having to go on the road and travel.
Your audio went out. I don't know if they can hear you. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me. I can't hear you. 1 second. Okay. Let's try this. Now come back. Anything?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Sorry, guys. Hopefully we can figure this out sooner rather than later. I've had all kinds of audio issues tonight. I'm not sure why. Okay.
Oh, Reagan says he can hear both of us.
Go ahead. Continue on with what you were saying as far as Washington. I didn't hear anything you said, so you might have said you hated the play.
Can you hear me now?
Love it. I can't hear you. No. But as long as they can hear you, which Reagan said they can, then we're good. I'll switch my Bluetooth. So yeah, Washington plus 6.5. Go ahead and start giving your fourth play, and I'll try to find a way to hear you because I want to know your fourth play.
Okay. My fourth play is Bama team total over 34.5. I really think that this is a bounce back game for Alabama. They looked horrible against Tennessee this weekend. I mean, that's a tough road environment to go in there and win in Knoxville. Jalen Milroe looked pretty bad, and they just looked discombobulated all around. But they still have one of the best wide receivers in the country, and Ryan Williams. And I think Missouri just all around is not that good. So I am taking Bama team total over 34.5. I think that they score upwards of 42 on this Missouri defense. The Missouri defense hasn't been horrible, but they haven't been great. But on the road, Missouri's defense is completely different than their offense. And they just kind of had like an emotional come from behind win against Auburn too. So I just don't love this Missouri team this year. And this to me just feels like a really good get right spot for Bama. They want to run the score up. They want to show that they're still Bama and that their offense is still good and that Jalen Milroe is still capable of being a starting quarterback for this team. So I like Bama team total over 34.5. I was going to take the spread here. It was minus 13.5 earlier, but I got announced that Brady Cook likely won't be playing this weekend, and the line jumped from 13.5 to 16.5, and I don't feel I was comfortable taking that. So that's another reason why I'm taking Bama's team total over because that line stayed the same. So that is my fourth play.
I like that. Bama team total over 34.5. I got to expect Jalen Milroe to bounce back. He struggled there pretty badly in Knoxville as they dropped that game to the Vols. I think that we see Milroe have a big game on the ground. I think that they implement his legs a little bit more, somewhat like they did against Georgia earlier in the season. They seem to have gotten away from that a little bit. They're throwing the ball around. Reagan, I'm sweating bullets, man. We cannot lose to those jokers in volleyball. We're going to hear about it forever. But yeah, so I like it. That's one I'll personally be telling as well. Bama team total over 34.5. That is Brandie's fourth play. For myself, my fourth play is going to be Michigan State +4. It's just hard for me to see Michigan as a favorite over anybody that has a pulse right now. They look so bad last week against Illinois in that game, and obviously we covered in that one, had a little Illinois action. Aiden Childs is going to be the best quarterback that plays in this game. I don't care which 3 or 4, 5, 6 Michigan quarterbacks suit up in this game. Childs is the one that, is going to make the most plays. Now, here's the thing. Betting on Michigan State, betting on Aiden Childs, it's not going to be stress-free. He is a little bit of a playmaker, and sometimes those plays aren't always great. Okay, so just hang on to your hats. In the end, I'm trusting Jonathan Smith. The programs that seem to be headed in somewhat different directions after a huge win last week for Michigan State against Iowa, and then Michigan dropping another game in which they're just god-awful offensively. No run game. Let's look for Michigan State to take away the run game of Michigan, make them one-dimensional, and then again, I like the better quarterback in the spot. Plus, we get 4 points. So I've got Michigan State, who's lost twice in a row to Michigan in embarrassing fashion, getting a little bit of revenge, and Jonathan Smith, I trust. What do you think, Brandie?
I love it. I love it. Michigan State's one of my favorite teams to take in underdog spots, whether that's betting or in pick'em leagues, and at least this season. And hearing the words that Aiden Childs is the best quarterback on the field in a game isn't really something that you normally hear. But I agree, Michigan's quarterback room is pretty bad. They're kind of beaten up right now, and they just aren't the same Michigan that they very clearly are not the same Michigan that they were under Jim Harbaugh. And I think this Michigan State team has a good bit of momentum heading into this game after their win over Iowa this past weekend too. And yeah, I like it. The fact that they're not getting points, I'm like, okay. So yeah, no, I dig it. I can definitely get behind this play.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Michigan State win outright whatsoever in this game. Yeah, 2 of my 3 underdogs I have so far, Michigan State, Mississippi State. I would be okay sprinkling some money line action. I wouldn't go that far with Washington. But yeah, so all right, Brandie, we've got 8 of our 10 plays given out. What do you have for play your 5th play?
Yeah, my last play is actually the team that Michigan State beat up on this past weekend. That's Iowa -13.5 at home versus Northwestern. And this is really a bet, or kind of a fading Northwestern. They're just one of the worst teams in the Big Ten this year. They're just horrible. And their run defense is really bad. And I think Caleb Johnson's going to have a pretty good game. And this is a spot where Iowa can kind of get right from getting beat up on last weekend on the road at Michigan State. Just feels like an all-around good spot in general. I think they win by 2 touchdowns and cover this. I don't really know, where Northwestern kind of goes from here. It's been a pretty rough season for them, and they just have not been. There's not any fight in them. This team does not have any fight. This Iowa team wants to continue getting better. They've kind of been a roller coaster of a team this year too. But this feels like a get right spot, kind of similar to Bama, Missouri. This feels like a get right spot, and a spot where Iowa wants to make a statement. I know taking a 2 touchdown Iowa and a 2 touchdown spot's kind of weird. People don't really do that or like to do that, but I like it here. I think Northwestern's horrible, so
they're bad. Yeah, I feel bad for the people of Evanston because I like that program, but they don't look good. No. I'm about it. This is a great bounce back spot for Iowa coming off a bye, coming off a bad loss to Michigan State after they whipped around a Washington team. So which Iowa team shows up? Hopefully the team that runs away with this one makes it easy, dominates what should be a very overmatched Northwestern Wildcat team. I like it. I'm about that. I'll tell that. Pick 5 for myself. Early, I guess the first show we did, I had the Nevada Wolfpack on here. And I think they let me down. And then 2 weeks later, I had the Nevada Wolfpack on here, and they let me down. And so, yeah, this is the 3rd time. We're going back to Nevada. Things are going better for Coach Choate. Remember in the beginning of the year, Brandie, when Nevada should have beat SMU? And everybody was like, wow, SMU is terrible.
When SMU was 24.5-point favorites.
Yeah. And it took a lot of screw-ups.
And that's before the Kevin Jennings rise to. But yes, I do remember that.
But yeah, those two teams didn't look too hot that night. It didn't look like we were watching two decent football teams. But Nevada's a lot better than that record shows, in my opinion. Lost to the San Jose State game by 3, the Fresno game by 3. They're fighting, and similar to Mississippi State, like I expect them to show up here, pick up their first win in a few weeks. They got Hawaii on the road. It's a pick 'em. I like the duo of Savion Red and Brendan. I think it's Brendan Lewis, a quarterback. Lewis is throwing for 10 touchdowns, but between him and Red, they've ran for 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. Hawaii just doesn't have anything offensively. There's just not much there. I think Nevada, who is coached by Jeff Choate, who I love, Wolfpack defense plays well. Run game carries them. I think Nevada wins this one 7 to 10, somewhere in there, somewhat comfortably. Let's go Wolfpack. That's my 5th. Brandie, any thoughts on that play? Have you looked into Nevada, Hawaii at all?
Yeah, I like it. When I was looking at the card, this is something that I looked at myself too. I like it. I think Nevada has kind of improved week over week throughout this season, and they looked really good last weekend. So I can get behind this play for sure. And Hawaii is just not a good football team, so I like it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hawaii they have not looked very good, and so we're trying to fade a couple of teams this week. Fading a bad Michigan team on my side, fading a bad Hawaii team. But at the same time, you're putting your trust in Michigan State, you're putting your trust in Nevada. So let's hold on, okay? It's gonna be a wild ride, but in the end, this is gonna be a bounce back week. I can feel it, Brandie. We're due. The rough part was we went 4-6 last week on our channel, but the pick'em that we talk about every week, we both went 17-8, right? I think.
Yeah, we both got 17 wins. We looked good in our pick'em league last week. We just didn't give the right plays out to you guys.
Yeah, people are like, that doesn't do us any good. Thanks for letting us know that y'all killed it. So yeah, Brandie has now, if I'm correct, an 11-game lead between her and first place. First place is almost a $3K payout. So Brandie is sitting comfortably. I know last week, it was 5 or 6 games, maybe.
I think it's 9 games, not 11 right now. But yeah,
you're 11 games over me, the bum. Yeah, so
that's what it is.
9-game lead for Brandie. I took a pretty big climb. I want to say I went from like 9th to tied for 5th or something. 2 games out of 2nd. That's where my eyes are. I want 2nd. It's gonna be really, really hard to catch Brandie. She knows what she's doing. And I had a really, really bad first week that put me way behind the ball. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The pick'em's getting more difficult as we get later into the season. Injuries and depth concerns, and for some of our schools, quarterback issues, and you never know. And so it's been a lot of fun in the pick'em. Definitely going to be a wild ride down the stretch, but Brandie does sit pretty comfortably in the driver's seat. Brandie, any other big games that you might want to talk about, look at, maybe get a lean or a side out? Or we haven't done our leans. What's your lean for the week?
I actually have 2 leans that I want to give out.
Leans are hot.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be 2 really fun games because they're 2 really fun offenses, and 4 really when I look at both of these games. My first lean is going to be Boise State -2.5 on the road at UNLV. This game has gotten a lot of chatter lately for 2 reasons. One, people have talked about the playoff implications for Boise State and potential G5 spot. Their only loss right now is to Oregon. And then also because they have Heisman frontrunner Ashton Jeanty on their team, who I've been a big proponent of and have a futures bet on him to win the Heisman. And a lot of people think UNLV can play spoiler to both their playoff hopes and his Heisman hopes. And I'm here to say I don't think that that's happening. There's some real big concerns in the secondary for this UNLV defense. And there's also a little bit of concern in their run defense as well. So all that to say, though, UNLV does have a really fun and exciting offense, even with their second-string quarterback that's been playing now. So I like Boise State here, -2.5. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to make a statement and really show why you can go to a G5 school and you can become a Heisman winner and you can break all of these records and do something that hasn't been done in over 30 years. And I think he's in for a big game. They killed UNLV on the road last year. And Ashton Jeanty went off last year and they weren't able to stop him. I think the only thing that's really improved year over year for UNLV is this offense. And not necessarily their defense. So my first lean is Boise State -2.5. And if you have player props out there, whatever Ashton Genty's player props are, take the over because he's going to crush them. He's going to keep going. And we are going to see him run for another 75-plus yard touchdown like he's done in almost every game this season. So, yeah, and that's a really exciting game. That game is on Friday night. And then my second lean is another game that I think are two really prolific offenses, and that's Tulane on the road -7.5 at North Texas. I've been a big proponent of this Tulane team all season long. I love John Summerall. I think he was a great hire for them, and I think it's going to keep it going against this against this North Texas team. North Texas has a horrible defense, like very, very bad. The reason why they've kind of been fun to watch this season and have kind of hung around there with teams that maybe they shouldn't have. Like they hung around there last weekend with Memphis. Really, they kind of should have beat them last weekend too. It's because their offense is really, really good. But I think Tulane's offense is better, and I know for a fact Tulane's defense is better. I like Mensa. He's not turnover prone. Chandler Morris, which is North Texas's quarterback, he's a lot more turnover prone than Mensa is. I think Mekhi Hughes keeps it rolling on the ground for them. And yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a really exciting back and forth gunslinging type of game, and Tulane pulls away late to get the cover. Tulane by 2 touchdowns, so I like Tulane -7.5.
Hey, Summerall's boys are hot. They look good. They've done well for you on this channel, and I don't blame you there. I thought long and hard about the Boise State UNLV game. I just don't know how like Boise State's not even a little bit bigger of a favorite in this one, to be honest. Talking about coming off a bye, you have a UNLV team who played on Saturday, and so yeah, they're at home, but I mean, like it's still one day less of rest, and then you've had Ashton Genty just out there chilling, waiting, getting ready. Recovering from all the work, and it's just like it's hard to envision Boise State not covering that. And my first thought is like, hey, it's going to be a crazy shootout, going to be a ton of points. The UNLV offense, the go-go offense of Brandon Marion. I kind of like the under 64 in this game as a lean. 1 week, or sorry, like I said, 1 day short of or one. Only 6 nights or 5 days of rest, I guess, rather for UNLV there. So we'll see how that ground game looks because Boise's had ample time to prepare for that. And at the same time, I am quite certain, this is a great shot for UNLV to thrust himself into the college football playoff picture. And the only chance in hell that you have on Friday night of doing so is to stick about 35 running rebels in the box and pray that they can slow down Ashton. And so I think they'll do everything they can to slow him down. Not that it works, but works enough to keep the point total 64. I want to say I could see a game playing out in the high 50s, but for my opinion, if you're playing a play on that game, it's Boise State. I don't see. I thought they might be 4 or 5 points of a favorite here in the spot. So yeah, I like both leans. I'm with you there. Your leans always hit. They do great.
I know. I mean, I might as well just start putting it on the card.
Yeah, we'll start running 7 or 8 play cards. But yeah, the only lean that I'm going to have, and it hurts to say this out loud, it's going to be really hard for him. Now, Brandie is already on this game, but I would see a spot where Vanderbilt covers that spread in Nashville against Texas a lot of times. Ball control being a big part of it. They are going to, I don't care if it's 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 9, they're angry. Texas will win. They're going to win, no doubt. But as far as winning by 18 plus points, I'm not so convinced. Texas has started very, very slow, as we have talked about. I'm not fully convinced that Quinn is healthy. Texas doesn't attack downfield. Like I said earlier, I could see Coach Clark sitting on the short stuff a little bit, making it difficult. But once again, this is a different type of quarterback than Texas has really seen all year, as far as a true dual threat. And I think his legs will be a big part of ball control. But I mean, I sure hope I'm wrong. It's only a lean. I'm not giving it out officially. Last play I gave out against Texas officially was Oklahoma first half plus what, 7.5? No, 4.5. What was it? 7.5?
I think 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. What am I? Yeah, and they were down 4 points with 4 minutes left, and then fumbled the ball twice. So yeah, not official play. I'm not taking it, but I'm just saying that I do see Vanderbilt inside of that number. But yeah, really the only true lean I have. Again, we're going to go over the plays just so you have them all. Read off your 5, including your leans as well, Brandie, just in case there's anyone that hasn't heard of them.
Yes, I have Syracuse plus 6.5. Vanderbilt first half plus 10.5. I also have LSU plus 2.5, Bama team total over 34.5, and Iowa minus 13.5. And I gave out 2 leans. That is Boise State minus 2.5 and Tulane minus 7.5.
I like it. Once again, Brandie on this channel, she is 16-13. This is coming off a 2-3 week. We're bouncing back. She leads our very large pick'em group, and she's probably first in like 3 other pick'em groups too. I know she's doing well. Myself coming into this week, 17-13 overall, and so that puts us 33-26. My 5 plays, USC minus 13 on Friday night against Rutgers. I have Mississippi State plus 6.5 at home against Arkansas. Washington plus 6.5 on the road in Bloomington, Indiana. Michigan State plus 4 against the Wolverines, and then Nevada in a pick'em in the late game in Hawaii. So I'm hoping that we're watching Nevada, late at night on Saturday, and like, hey, we're going 10-0 or 9-1. One of the two. It's gonna be a dang good week either way. Yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Anyone still out there, please throw a like on this video for Brandie. She's doing an awesome job. Last week kind of put us behind, but we're really trying to hit 60%. We're going to have a big week this week and get back on track. Drop the hoodie this week. No hoodie. Had a losing week for the first time in like over a month. And so new strategy. We're locked in.
That's why I had to throw a first half play back on there to get the mojo back. So
right. I like it. I like it a lot. Any final words before we get you out of here, Brandie?
No, let's have a winning week.
Should be a very fun Saturday at college football. See you soon, Nashville. Thank you all for watching. We'll talk to you all soon.